Project 1.3, ACES Christmas Tree.
Part 1, RC Oscillator. The first part of this project is to build an RC oscillator using NAND and inverter gates. Inverter gates work by taking an input and giving the opposite effect. In this circuit, the first inverter is connected to ground or low. It takes this low and makes it high, or power. The NAND has 2 input leads and 1 output lead. It will always produce high or power as long as both input leads are not already on high. When the circuit is given power, the NAND gate will be on high on one input and low on the other. This means that the output will be high. Current will then travel through 2 inverter gates, which will turn it low and high again. This means that the LED will be connected to high and low and will turn on. Current will also flow from the output of the NAND through the 47k ohm fixed resistor to the capacitor. When the capacitor finishes charging, it will discharge through the 330k ohm fixed resistor to the input of the NAND. This means that both inputs of the NAND will be on high and its output will be low. The inverters will change then to high and then back to low. Since the LED is presented with 2 lows, it will not turn on. When the capacitor finishes charging, the cycle will restart and a square wave is achieved. When this button is pressed, the LED stays on. Essentially, it is acting as a reset. This works by presenting the first inverter with power, or high. This means that one input of the NAND will always be low and the output will always be high, keeping the LED on. The 4060 frequency counter is the second part of this project, and it works much in the same way as the RC oscillator with a few key differences. The first difference is that the NAND and inverter gates have been replaced by a 4060 integrated circuit, or IC for short. The 4060 IC produces the same effect that the 3 inverters and 1 NAND does, except it can produce multiple different square waves with differing frequencies to multiple pins. However, it still needs the 2 resistors and capacitor to work. The frequency of this circuit can be found using these components. The equation 1 over 2 times R1 times C can be used, where R1 represents the 47k ohm fixed resistor and C represents the 1 microfarad capacitor. To find the specific frequency on a pin, all that needs to be done is to divide the original equation by 2 to the power of Q, where Q represents the number of pin being used. The final difference is the RGB LED. This LED has 3 of its leads connected to a different pin of the 4060 IC. Since each lead receives a different frequency, it will show colors in a way that resembles counting in binary, where red represents 1, green represents 2, and blue represents 4. Because of this, the circuit can count to 7. Part 3. Multiple LEDs. The multiple LEDs circuit resembles the 4060 frequency counter with the 4060 IC and the same resistor and capacitor setup. The difference is with the LEDs. This circuit uses multiple LEDs set up in series to count just like the other circuit. Each row of LEDs is connected to a different pin from Q4 to Q7. When the pin presents low, the LEDs connected to power turn on, and when the pin presents high, the LEDs connected to ground turn on. Like the other circuit, this circuit can count, and red represents 1, green represents 2, yellow 4, and blue 8. This means that the circuit can count up to 15 in binary. Part 4. ACES Christmas Tree. The ACES Christmas Tree is a circuit that is very similar to the multiple LED circuit. The small LEDs are powered in the same way that the LEDs in the previous circuit were powered, where multiple LEDs are connected in series and those rows are connected to different pins of the 4060 IC. The star is a special component that can change color on its own when given power. This circuit can be powered in 2 ways. The first way is to have the 2 conical compression springs connected to a 9-volt battery that sits in the base. The other way is to connect a 9-volt AC-DC adapter to the kinked parallel jack on the side. The final product is a cool Christmas tree that can be gifted to friends and family.